Welcome to Wellness Wednesday with Britt. I'm Britt, and this week we're talking about how we see ourselves. This week I'm talking to a body positivity advocate, and we're going to talk about what it's like to love ourselves and how to love ourselves when we have a chronic illness or anything else that we're dealing with. So let's go ahead and get into that. Today talking with Khara P, who is out of Manchester, England, and we're going to talk about body positivity, how we see ourselves, our self-reflection with a chronic illness. So, Khara, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
No problem. Thank you for having me, Britt. I absolutely appreciate it. I'm doing really good today, considering I had a bit of a flare yesterday, but today is a new day, so I'm happy and I'm well.
I'm glad to hear it.
How about yourself?
You know what? I'm doing really good. I started the day off at the ocean.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was a really nice way to start the day. I don't really like sand so much, but the ocean part was great.
Sand gets everywhere. I understand.
Yes. So, Khara, you know, I really, really love your Instagram account and just how much body positivity and love of self that you promote in this community. And that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to talk with you, because I know that not only are you all about, you know, self-love and body positivity, but you also are living with a chronic illness. So
yes, that's right.
That's that adds a whole nother level to this whole way of how we see ourselves. Do you mind telling me a little bit about yourself, about, you know, what your journey has been like?
Yeah, no problem at all. So for me, I was really young when I was experiencing a lot of pains, and I kind of got told loads by the doctors, oh, it's just growing pains, and I kind of knew that there was something more. So I remember my mum taking me to see the doctor quite a lot. And they come to the conclusion after a few tests, after going back and forth, they came to the conclusion that I had bone deficiency. So that was the first thing. So they were like, oh, you might grow out of it, take your vitamins. And I was like, no, I was young at the time. But I was like, something still not sitting with me. So I went through my childhood in quite a bit of pain, and you grow, you do your exercise, you're a bit more active then, aren't you, when you're younger? So it didn't really affect me as much as it has in my adult life. Secondly, for me, my mum had a psychotic breakdown when I was 15 years old, so that contributed to a lot of the extra pain in my life, because you don't realize that trauma and pain can go hand in hand with one another. So I was dealing with that, and I was dealing with my mental health. I had really bad anxiety, really bad depression. I was also dealing with an eating disorder, which I will post about. I was dealing with an eating disorder as well. So I had the bone deficiency, so the pain from that, the extra pain from the trauma of my mum having a psychotic breakdown. I was dealing with my anxiety, I was dealing with my depression and stuff like that. And as I got older, I think it was an auntie of mine said to me, come and work in the food shop. So they had a Caribbean food shop. So I started working in there because she could see that I was going kind of down a bad path as well, because I was trying to seek validation. You're trying to seek love in all the wrong places, and you're out there doing all sorts, aren't you, at that age? I think I was like 16 or 17. So she pushed me and said to me to go into college, so I did. And I've always been a lover for the arts, so I did my performing arts course, and I managed to get into a stage school, so university level, and I went to stage school and I did that. And I was lucky to graduate. I was still dealing with my mum's breakdown, so I had a lot of things that I had to deal with, medical people, my mum going in and out of hospital, and me trying to study, me dealing with my own mental health, and then also dealing with this pain that was just sat there, and the doctors were still saying, oh, it's in your head, you're just really depressed, you've got a lot of stress going on with your mum. They can come across a little bit patronizing at times.
Just a
And I was
bit.
going, no, there's something wrong. And they were like, no, just take your vitamins, and you're low on vitamin D. And it just became a little bit, repetitive and boring. And I just kept going back. I kept being persistent. I was like, you need to listen to me. You're not taking me serious. I graduated. I then got recruited by a lady called Jo Fisher, and she is the CEO for the company that I have my stage school under. It's called Footlights, and luckily they liked me. I did a stage show. I really doubted myself at that time, and I got like the best reviews on the show, so that kind of boosted my confidence a little bit, and I felt great about it. And she asked me if I wanted to come and teach, so I came and taught for a little bit, and then I approached her and said, can I invest in your franchise? Can I open my own stage school in my area? Because my area is quite deprived, so there wasn't anything out there for children. And I just thought about my past experiences and thought, well, I didn't have anywhere to go to release the tension and the pain and the trauma I was going through. And I found the arts really helped me. Regardless of any pain I was going through, I just pushed myself and felt liberated doing, getting on stage and acting and kind of making a fool out of yourself and, socializing with other people. And it's such a happy place for me. So, things like that really helped me. And I then met my partner, and I was graduating. I met my partner who I'm with now, and we've been together 5 years, and we have a son. So I was still experiencing this pain. So I went to the doctors and said, I had a new doctor because I had got fed up with my last one. I said, I've just had enough. I'm going to go see somebody else. And she was fantastic. She listened to me. She sent me for tests for arthritis. She sent me for all these types of scans. She then sent me to a rheumatologist. Now that is where things started to kind of, come into place. And I was 38 weeks pregnant and I got diagnosed with fibro.
Oh my goodness.
At 38 weeks pregnant, and that was in 2018, and now we're in 2020. So I only got my diagnosis quite recently, and it was just that sigh of relief. Like, it was like I knew there was something wrong. All these years I was going through all this pain, all this trauma, all this, that and the other. My hands were hurting, my back was killing me, my joints were killing me. It felt like burning sensations all over my body. My joints were just horrendous. And finally somebody listened, and I think that's where my journey kind of started in my body positivity. Because I had a diagnosis. I knew it wasn't all in my head, and I knew why my body had changed, why I gained weight, why, depression and, binge eating and stuff like that, where this weight had come from. And it was looking at myself in a completely different light. It was just like kind of a light bulb moment that flickered, and I said, you know what? I need to love myself unconditionally. I know what's wrong, and now I can actually focus on myself and trying to do things to help my condition, like trying to be active, and also having those down days. I can still look myself in the mirror and say, no, I'm not my illness. It's not always been in my head, and I can accomplish things, and I have accomplished things through life. No matter what I've been through, I have been able to do, I've opened a stage school. I've got so many students. I've got a dance academy. I have a son. I have a family. There are things that you can achieve, even though you may be going through a dark time and you might feel like you can't do things. You can't pick yourself up because you're in pain. But I don't believe that. I believe everyone can aspire to do something, even if it's small. Everyone can aspire to do something. You can be an inspiration somehow. So I just felt like I needed to get out on social media and relay this message and this epiphany to other people, and just show people that you can, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
Exactly. I mean, I love that, you, first of all, I mean, there's so much in what you just said. Number one, the fact that you didn't take the proverbial no for an answer. You knew your body. Even when you were going through so much, you always knew something was wrong. And, you did keep searching for answers. And I can really relate with what you were saying about that sigh of relief when you
Mhm.
get that diagnosis, because that can keep you in this constant state of limbo. You
Mhm.
know something's wrong, but you're being told by people who are supposed to be, experts in their field that
Mhm.
it's all in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that can do a number on you, especially how you are viewing yourself. When you're
Definitely.
looking in the mirror and you're saying, maybe this is all in my head. Maybe I am crazy. And
Yes.
it can truly affect the perception that we have of
Mhm.
ourselves. Um, I mean, when you were going through the deepest part of your mother's uh, breakdown, your eating disorder, you not having a diagnosis, you feeling, what was that like? What was that like to like? How did you view yourself?
I absolutely despised myself. Um, when you're dealing with an eating disorder as well, there's this part of your brain that scrutinizes you. Every little thing, it could be the smallest thing. It could be, oh, you might think your arms are massive, your stomach's massive, your legs are massive. And I think with me, I think my eating disorder wasn't so easy to pinpoint because to the outside world, I was this happy-go-lucky character,
Mm-hmm.
and I would eat in front of people, but as soon as the door was closed, I was trying not to eat anything. I was trying to get it out of my system. I was taking laxatives. I was doing all sorts, trying to just get rid of this thing that was going to contribute to my weight and my appearance. And then it was like, well, maybe I'm in pain because I'm too fat, and sort of things like that. And it was really difficult because even going to the doctors, and even if I did try to speak to the doctors about this eating disorder at the time, my persona, the way I looked,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't look like the average person who looks like they has an eating disorder.
Exactly.
And I think that in itself can be very difficult, and you can't judge a person at first hand. And somebody said something to me recently, and I really thought deep about it. And doctors tend to give you their professional opinion. So the key word there is opinion. So sometimes you need to look at that and say, well, you're the professional, but you're giving me your opinion, and not everybody's opinion is fact. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of was another thing that kind of kept me going, kind of like, yeah,
Yeah.
opinion. That's true. It's an opinion. So um, dealing with that, and then thinking that you're going a bit mad because you, in the most respectful terms, um, people are gaslighting you and
Exactly.
undermining your opinion, your thoughts, not even your opinion, your facts about yourself. They're undermining your facts about yourself. You know yourself. So I'm having the doctor say one thing, and then my mind saying something else. Oh, maybe I am going a bit off the rails. Maybe it is all in my head because my mum isn't well. Maybe, I am imagining these things. It made me really questioned myself, and I was constantly in this battle with myself, and it just kind of puts you on a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember being in my bed one day, just under my blanket with it over my head, and I remember one day just wanting to die because I just thought, what was the point? And I was only young. I was like 17, maybe 18. I think I was 18 at the time, and I just wanted to die. And for me to want to die at such a young age, just because I felt like I wasn't being listened to, people don't understand that mental health has so many different levels, and people need to be a little bit more empathetic when it comes
Yes.
to understanding a person. Don't tell a person it's all in their head. That's the worst thing you can do to
Yeah.
somebody, because it makes you doubt yourself. And that's the doubts are the things that come creeping in, and they're the things that take over, and they're the things that keep you in this downward spiral. So for me at that point, dealing with my mum's mental health and dealing with my own illness, my own mental health and my own physical stuff, trust me, it was a horrible time to live in. Even thinking about it makes me a little bit emotional because I'm going through therapy, and I
Mm-hmm.
recommend therapy to everyone. um, Thinking back and reflecting on those times can be very, very difficult, and it's just about healing now.
Exactly. Because I mean, I get it. I truly get it. Just because you are not there
Mhm.
physically anymore at
Mhm.
that point in your past, um, it it happened. It's an
Mhm.
experience. When you lose somebody that you love,
Mm.
and just because you're not there at that time, you're still always going talking about that can bring up a plethora of emotions.
Mhm.
So I completely get it, and I really appreciate you even being willing to talk about that period in your life, because I think so many of us can relate
Yeah.
to a lot of these emotions that, and that's the thing, it's like this big old, I love jambalaya. Okay, and jambalaya is like one of those you throw everything in the pot kind of things, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
feel like this whole pain and mental, and there's so many elements that
Mhm.
it's so hard to just pinpoint one thing and say, if I just
Yes.
removed that one thing, then this would change the whole. It might make things a little bit easier, but there's so many different ways that you have to approach
Yeah.
um, your life to
Mhm.
start that healing process. So, what I want to know is, okay, you said that it was 2018 when you're 38 weeks pregnant that you finally got this
Yeah.
diagnosis. Had not like you didn't have a lot going on. And so you said that was kind of like the genesis moment of kind of starting to heal. And you also spoke with me a little bit before the interview started about how you said that you feel like you're mentally ready to love
Yes.
yourself and to really commit to this journey. So if your diagnosis was the beginning of that healing and the way you changed how you look at yourself, what
Mhm.
would you contribute? What other ingredients to that jambalaya soup pot would you say have been involved to getting you from where you were in the past to where you are today?
I think to add to that is being a role model. Um, I have so many amazing children that look up to me, and I've even got parents and people that I look up to that look up to me, and I didn't realize that until um, a few years ago, and I was going, I didn't realize I was such a role model, and I just look at myself and I think there's children out there that are going through bullying. I went through bullying, and they look at themselves in a complete different light, and I want to be an example that radiates love and self-love and self-worth. And if they can look at me and say, well, she loves herself, she's got this going on, she's got that going on, because I'm very open. I'm open with my children. The children know that I have health conditions, and I'm very open. And if they can see me loving myself unconditionally, then that might be a light bulb moment for them. Do you see what I mean? And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have that growing up. I didn't
Right.
have anyone to look up to and say, well, look at this person. They're living their best life, and they're loving themselves unconditionally. They're not trying to bow down to, society's views on what is deemed acceptable. So that was something as well. And then, like I said prior, having my son as well, kind of was like a big, big click for me. Um, so it's just kind of finding the tools to gear yourself up to start loving yourself. I think that's also something that's really, really important. Like I'm a big advocate, sorry, for affirmation
Mm-hmm.
and having positive affirmation and creating those affirmations for yourself. So you can get them online. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. But I think doing your own personal ones are so important. Those things that niggle you, those things that get you down, write them down, pop them in a jar. So I put them here. Pop them in a
Oh, I
jar,
love it.
and each day I go in this jar and I
Mm-hmm.
take an affirmation out. And even if I feel I'm not ready to tackle that affirmation, if the universe tells me I need to tackle that affirmation, I'll take it out, and that is the one I'm going to deal with that day. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go, right, let's face this problem and let's turn it around. Let's find the positives in it. And I think those sorts of things really, really helped me. And getting online as well, that helps a lot. And speaking to people like yourself, I think that's really, really important. Finding people in your community that you can click with. Unfollow people that make you feel bad about yourself.
Yes, yes.
So
I'm
important.
so glad you said that, because there is that too. It's kind of like a double-edged sword with the online community, because, you know, you're opening yourself up to a much wider community that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. So you can find and reach out and be encouraged by people that, you know, you wouldn't have in your in-person community. But with that also comes a whole wider community of people that may just not be your people, you know? And I love that you said that, you know, releasing what doesn't serve you anymore, or which is making you feel bad about yourself.
It's so important. I follow some brilliant accounts, and I've made friends with some brilliant people over the pandemic. And they have helped me, and I've helped them, not realizing. And we have conversations quite a lot, and it's just kind of transferring those little skills that we have, or things that we do to help you know, uplift ourselves. I follow a girl called Billy, fantastic, Self-Care Chronicles, and she does a lot of stuff on journaling and mental health, and she's great. I love her page. I follow another girl, and I don't want to pronounce her name incorrectly, but I love it to bits. She's going to hate me for this, but I think it's Danica. She lives in Ireland, and I think she's absolutely a powerhouse of love and energy, and she is so honest, and she's brilliant. She's another person. And the last person, I must say, so two people, a girl called Lauren, she's fantastic, and there's another girl called Bopo Peaches. Now, these people are the people that I tend to kind of go on their feeds a lot, because they just radiate so much positive energy. And they're also very honest. When they're having a bad day, they will talk about it. And I think transparency is really important. And these are the type of people that you can connect with online. And I think also be very good at blocking, because if you don't block the trolls, because I've had trolls, I've had weirdos, I've had trolls, I've had unsolicited things. But I don't read this stuff. I kind of get an inkling of where they're going with it, and I just block them, because I don't have that type of time for that person to take away my joy. And I think that's so important for anybody who's dealing with anything. It doesn't have to be a chronic illness, it could be anything. Don't let somebody come along and take your shine and your joy away from you, because that person's probably either very sad themselves, or you know, they're probably living their best life and great and enjoying their time after they've just insulted you, and then you're sat at home wallowing in your pity.
Exactly.
So just kind of shun that person and get on with it, because I feel like that it's not always easy, but I feel like, you know, getting back your power is really important as well.
I would have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I've definitely had to do some flexing of that block button myself. But, you know, thank you so much. This has been a really uplifting and encouraging interview. And if people, I suggest, you mentioned some really great accounts. However, I personally would like to recommend your account, because I think that, and she's humble too, everyone. She didn't even mention herself. But if people would like to follow you, what is your Instagram account?
So my Instagram account is Khara P. So that's Khara and P spelled with a letter P and two E's, and you can find me. Follow.
Thank you so much, Khara P. I appreciate you interviewing with me today, and we will definitely be talking more in days, weeks, months to come.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.